Welcome to NOS 230 Cyber Safety Lesson 3, Policies with a Purpose, Leveraging Group Policy for Security. In this lesson, we're going to explore how one of the most critical tools in Windows Server administration, group policy, can be used not just for convenience, but as a powerful security enforcement mechanism. Group policy objects, or GPOs, allow administrators to control virtually every aspect of a domain-joined environment, from password enforcement and software restrictions to user rights and auditing. This lesson will walk you through the essential techniques for configuring, deploying, and maintaining secure, centralized policy settings that harden your infrastructure and reduce risk. Let's dive into how purposeful policies can transform your security posture. In this lesson, our learning objectives are focused and practical. You'll learn how group policy enforces security across an Active Directory environment. You'll gain experience creating and applying GPOs that are specifically geared toward improving security. We'll cover how to configure password policies, audit rules, and user rights assignments to enforce compliance and reduce attack surfaces. We'll also explore app blocker and software restriction policies as methods of controlling what runs on your systems. You'll learn to harden workstations centrally and detect and fix GPO misconfigurations before they cause problems. By the end, you'll understand how to make group policy an integral part of your organization's security architecture. Before we dive into technical content, it's important to pause and assess your current understanding. What do you already know about group policy? Think about the best practices you've learned, maybe through labs, coursework, or hands-on experience. Do you know how policies are applied through the Active Directory hierarchy? Have you worked with GPOs to control things like password settings or user permissions? Make a list of the practices you're confident in and another list of things you're unsure about or curious to learn. This personal inventory will give you a reference point to measure your growth throughout this lesson and highlight areas where you can deepen your skills. Group policy is a core feature of Active Directory that provides centralized management of user and computer settings across a domain. It allows administrators to define security policies, enforce compliance, and ensure consistent configurations without having to manually touch each individual system. This is done through group policy objects that are applied to users or computers based on their location in the Active Directory hierarchy. Group policy is vital for security because it automates configuration, enforces restrictions, and can be tailored to meet very specific needs across a large environment. It's scalable, flexible, and when used correctly, one of the most powerful administrative tools available in a Windows domain. Group policy is not just about managing settings, it's a critical layer of security. By controlling what users can do, where they can log in, what programs they can run, and how systems behave, you're enforcing a defensive posture at every level. GPOs help prevent configuration drift, which can introduce vulnerabilities. They also reduce manual errors and ensure that systems stay compliant with organizational policies. Whether it's limiting access, enforcing encryption, or requiring multi-factor authentication, group policy is your front line for reducing risk and increasing control over your network. Security-focused GPOs are foundational to a secure domain. These policies don't just manage preferences, they control behaviors and restrictions that protect systems and data. Examples include account policies that enforce strong passwords and lockout rules, audit settings to track logins and file access, and user rights assignments that determine who can perform high-level actions. You can also deploy app blocker or software restriction policies to prevent unauthorized programs from running. Finally, workstation hardening policies lock down endpoints so that even if a user is compromised, the damage is contained. Together, these policies form the security framework that keeps your domain protected. One of the most common yet crucial uses of group policy is managing password policies. These settings ensure users create strong, complex passwords and change them regularly. You can require the use of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols to prevent easy-to-guess credentials. Enforcing minimum password lengths, expiration cycles, and lockout thresholds also helps defend against brute force attacks and credential stuffing. Additionally, enabling password history prevents users from reusing the same password over and over again. These simple measures, applied consistently through GPO, significantly increase the difficulty for attackers attempting to gain unauthorized access. Audit policies provide essential visibility into what's happening on your network. With the right GPO settings, you can track user login and log-off activity, file access, and even changes made to Active Directory objects. This not only helps with forensic investigations after an incident, but also gives real-time insight into suspicious behavior. For example, if an account attempts multiple failed logins or modifies sensitive security settings, your audit logs will show it. Integrating these logs into a SIEM platform allows you to correlate events and set up alerts so that abnormal behavior triggers immediate notification, enabling faster response and containment. User rights policies are different from traditional file or folder permissions. They control what actions users or groups can perform at a system level. For example, policies can define who is allowed to log on locally, access systems via remote desktop, change the system time, or install device drivers. These rights should be assigned carefully and reviewed regularly to ensure they align with current job roles and responsibilities. Giving too many rights to the wrong people can open up significant vulnerabilities. By limiting these privileges and keeping rights aligned to roles, you reduce opportunities for misuse or escalation of privilege attacks. App locker and software restriction policies give you powerful tools to control what software can run on domain-joined machines. By restricting apps based on publisher, file path, or file hash, you can allow only trusted applications and block everything else. This is especially important for preventing malware or unauthorized software from executing. These policies can be applied to specific users, groups, or organizational units, giving you flexibility in how restrictions are enforced. For example, IT staff might have broader access, while general users are tightly limited. This control significantly reduces your attack surface and enforces software compliance. Hardening workstations through group policy means applying strict, consistent settings that reduce risk at the user endpoint level. Disabling features like auto-run, USB storage, and Office macros helps close common infection paths. Enforcing screen lock timers, removing local admin rights, and applying limited privileges all reduce opportunities for lateral movement if a system is compromised. Using standardized templates ensures that all systems follow the same hardening policies, minimizing the chance of error. With GPO-based hardening, your workstation fleet becomes far more resilient to attacks, especially from phishing, infected media, or insider threats. Understanding how GPOs are linked and inherited is crucial for effective policy deployment. You can link GPOs at the domain, site, or organizational unit level, depending on the scope you want. Sometimes you may want to block inheritance to prevent broader policies from affecting sensitive OS. Other times, enforcing a GPO ensures it applies even if a lower-level policy tries to override it. These tools give you precise control, but they can also introduce confusion if not managed carefully. Always test your changes using group policy modeling, which simulates how settings will apply before going live. When group policy is misconfigured, the results can be damaging. Conflicting policies may not apply properly, or they may expose systems to risk. Common problems include redundant rules, overlapping permissions, and policies that aren't scoped correctly. Tools like GP Result and the resultant set of policy, RSOP, help you analyze how GPOs are being applied in practice. A clean, well-documented GPO structure makes troubleshooting easier and helps avoid accidental overrides. Keeping policies simple, non-redundant, and easy to follow not only enhances security but also improves long-term management and reduces support headaches. Logging GPO activity helps track who is making changes and when, offering vital accountability. By enabling auditing on group policy objects, administrators can see if someone modifies a password policy, adjusts user rights, or changes software restrictions. Regularly reviewing logs through the event viewer or a SIEM platform helps detect unauthorized modifications or insider threats. You can also configure alerts for critical changes, such as edits to administrative permissions, so that you can respond in real time. Without logging, policy changes go unnoticed, so auditing is not optional in a secure environment. Preventing GPO abuse starts with controlling who can make changes. Only trusted, trained administrators should have access to create, modify, or link GPOs. Overusing enforced or overly complex policies can result in unintended overrides. So it's important to keep your policy structure as simple and logical as possible. Role-based delegation allows you to assign GPO responsibilities to the right people based on their job functions. Documenting these assignments and reviewing them regularly ensures that access is appropriate and traceable. When GPO control is tightly managed, the entire domain benefits from increased security and operational clarity. Starter GPOs and security templates provide a structured, efficient starting point for implementing policies across your environment. Rather than building every setting from scratch, you can use these pre-configured baselines, many of which are based on industry standards like those from Microsoft or the Center for Internet Security. These templates cover common security settings and reduce the risk of misconfiguration. With tools like the Microsoft Security Compliance Toolkit, you can import, customize, and deploy policies tailored to your organization's needs. This not only speeds up deployment, but ensures consistency across departments and systems. Templates also help during recovery or system rebuilds, offering a reliable baseline to fall back on. Group policy allows administrators to control the execution of logon, log-off, startup, and shutdown scripts in a secure and centralized way. This capability is often used to automate tasks like mapping drives, applying settings, or running checks. However, unmanaged script execution can become a serious security risk. That's why it's crucial to only use approved PowerShell or batch scripts that have been validated and tested. You should also restrict script locations to secure directories, reducing the chance of malicious code injection. Finally, by auditing script activity through log monitoring, you can track behavior, identify anomalies, and ensure that scripts are functioning as expected without introducing vulnerabilities. Advanced GPO controls such as blocking inheritance and using enforcement allow for fine-tuned application of policies, but they require careful management. Blocking inheritance prevents policies from upper levels in the Active Directory hierarchy, like the domain level, from applying to specific organizational units. This is especially useful for excluding sensitive departments or systems from broad policies. On the other hand, enforcing a GPO ensures it applies regardless of lower-level attempts to override it. While powerful, these features can cause policy conflicts or confusion if overused. That's why it's important to document all exceptions and understand their purpose, so future administrators can troubleshoot or audit changes effectively. As we reflect on the lesson, it's clear that group policy is more than a configuration tool. It's a central pillar of domain security. Through GPOs, administrators can enforce critical settings like password complexity, software restrictions, user rights, and auditing, all from a centralized interface. This not only simplifies management, but also ensures consistent application of security best practices. However, GPOs must be monitored and maintained over time. Security isn't a set-it-and-forget-it task. It requires continuous oversight, validation, and adaptation to evolving threats. By understanding and leveraging group policy effectively, you can dramatically reduce risk across your entire Active Directory environment. Now that you've completed the lesson, revisit the list you made at the beginning. Which best practices did you already understand well? And where did you gain new insight? Did any of your questions get answered? Maybe you now feel more confident configuring password policies or more cautious about overusing enforced GPOs. Taking this moment to reflect not only reinforces your learning, but also highlights areas where you can continue to grow. Group policy is a deep and powerful tool, and mastery comes with experience, practice, and a security-focused mindset. Use this assessment to chart your progress and identify your next learning goals. Congratulations! You've completed NOS 230 Cyber Safety Lesson Number 3, Policies with a Purpose. You've explored how to harness group policy to enforce security across an enterprise domain, create and apply hardened configurations, and avoid common pitfalls like misconfigurations or poor delegation. Remember, every GPO you implement should serve a purpose, align with security best practices, and be regularly reviewed. Your ability to manage group policy effectively will directly impact the safety, stability, and success of any Windows-based network. Keep studying, practicing, and applying what you've learned as you move forward in this course and into your IT career.